Right now, we have 15 sworn police officers, including the chief of police. Our police officer 2 is our code enforcement officer. So they are the goal right now, and we've been working towards it for a while. Is once we're fully staffed, we have a code officer that is fully sworn as a police officer. Their primary duties will be code enforcement, but if there's a lot of stuff going on, or they need to jump in and back up the regular patrol officers, they can do that. So we're providing code enforcement for the city of Junta, which is a big, important part of keeping our city clean and looking the way that it does, but also they'd be able to back up the officers. So we'd like to see a minimum of 16 sworn, which is where we were in 2001, but it's been difficult recently to try and keep full staff. So we're going to keep plugging towards that and hoping that we can retain officers. We're trying to hire local people that want to stay in the valley and that have family and roots here that are willing to work as police officers.
So what seems to be the problem?
Turnover rate is high in small towns. I mean, you could probably ask any business owner here, that anyone that runs a business, it can be hard to retain people.
And nationwide, it's a problem now. My son-in-law used to work for us, he works for Pueblo now, and I believe there are 80 officers down. And so it's everywhere, it's not just here. It just hits us harder because our numbers are so low. Some people just decide after a couple of years, hey, this job isn't for me, I'm gonna go sell tires or go do something different. So
I will say too that we're well trained at this department, as you can tell, our training facilities and all that. So other agencies may seek officers out that have trained here because we have good experience, good call volume that gets us well trained, good experience, and then they move on.
yeah.
Well, I was just wondering if it's the social attitude that's going on now, like defunding the police and different things like that. Is that have anything to do
Surprisingly,
with it?
a lot of the officers that have left the department have actually gone to other law enforcement jobs. And from my experience in recent years, it's usually moving to a bigger agency in an area that's got more things to do for their family or some more better pay. I don't know if you've seen, but rarely have we seen many of the officers leave to get out of law enforcement completely.
Mm.
We had a gentleman we hired out of Pueblo Academy, a great officer, he still is a great officer, but he was from a big city in Indiana. His fiance was from Los Angeles, and he liked it here, but he brought her out, and right after she got off the plane and got here, get me out of here, and if you want to marry me, you'll move.
That doesn't work, does it?
Yeah, he went up to Thornton, and that's why we try to focus on local people that want to stay in this town.
For staffing levels, some of the reasons that we'd like to see the 16, just because of our call volume, we have a pretty good. I don't know. Do you have stats in here?
No,
The call volume? Okay.
but we average close to 20,000 calls a year.
20,000 calls a year usually, and that could be anything from a 5-minute phone call about, hey, what do I do if my neighbor's barking dog keeps me up at night, all the way to big cases that take months of investigation. Yes.
We catch a lot of riff in Facebook that we're not working on the drugs and stuff. We've always worked on the drugs. Lately, you've seen some bigger busts from us. And what's helped there was kind of the perfect storm that happened all at once. We got more towards full staff, and then CBI formed a team that actually comes down and helps us.
Good.
Because when we're not full staff, we don't have enough to fill all the positions, and our main focus is just handling the calls that we're getting. Now that we're close to full staff, we have Mitch as a full-time detective. We had Anthony Avila over as another full-time detective, but we had another officer leave to go to another department. And so Anthony's going back to the street, but he'll come back in January 1st as a detective. So having those two detectives to work with CBI, they can get the warrants, they can do the research and watching things. And, we can do our jobs. But when we're down to just a few officers, it just, everything we can do just to stay up with the call volume. So that's why they're starting to see a little more. So it just kind of helped that we got back to full staff, and then we got the help. And we also have the support of council and the current interim city manager, which I feel is, we have a lot more support than we have.
You recently had those fentanyl busts.
Yes, and that was the
Oh my
ones we're
God,
talking
thank you,
about.
thank you, thank you.
And those take lots of hours of overtime, and with the interim city manager, those we'll figure it out later. I mean, because we gotta do our job.
Yeah.
And we're being allowed to do that. Thank you, Maureen, and the rest of the council, and Mr. Davidson, the interim city manager right at the moment. So that's really helped us too. We understand there's a limited pool of money, but what we really need for a department our size and a town our size, we need about 20 total officers. But right now, that's just not in the budget of the city, so we'll do the best that we can. But we're, by staying closer to full staff, we're utilizing our staff better, getting, detectives, things like that. So you're seeing a lot more of it. We've always had some, just not in the amounts we're getting now.
So being short-staffed, does that mean like you'd have to step in and take over some lesser duties?
Sometimes.
That are lower level duties that you?
So, a police chief in most departments is mainly just a political figure that goes around the community, or community, goes to meetings and stuff. I have several duties. I'm in charge of payroll, making sure the budget for the department. I help cover calls when needed. I help Mitch 2 Thanksgivings go come out and serve, or work 6 hours with him so he didn't have to work by himself. So I am, a working chief, meaning small. I also run, the grant for the southeast region. So I have a lot of duties. With Mitch coming back into detective, he helped me with evidence before, so him and our patrol commander, who's out on injured leave right now, they handle evidence. I used to do the evidence. So yeah, got a lot of jobs. Plus go to meetings, go talk to council when we need help, things we need. Go to community meetings when we're asked, go to the schools. So yeah, just not sitting in my office or going around to the coffee shop and talking to the community. I try to get some of that into, because that's important too. But
So what's a typical shift in like hours? How long would you work?
for me,
Yeah.
I probably average 10 hours a day at least.
At least. Yeah.
And I'm salaried and I'm only supposed to work 8. I get called out to calls. If we have big calls, it's all hands on deck. I come out and help. My job at that time though is to get these guys what they need, make sure the ones handling the crime scene have everything they need, yet still make sure that the streets are being covered for calls that are coming in. Yeah, it's not a
Does the
typical.
state troopers help out?
Yes, troopers come in, the SO comes in if needed. Yeah, we when the stuff hits the fan, all the agencies will come and help, which is a great thing, and same with us.
Yeah, that's good. We do work really well with all the other agencies around here for all that, but we also have a responsibility to the citizens to keep it here. So we try and they have a responsibility to a certain job too, right? State Patrol is not supposed to be handling things in the city. They're supposed to be out making traffic stops to prevent crashes, and the sheriff's office has their area they need to cover too. So we can use them. We all work together. We want to go home safe at night, but we try to keep them where they need to be so we can all do our thing.
In 2001, at that staffing level, our chief of police was like a big city chief of police. He did his budget, did his city meetings, but most of the time he was going around the community talking to people. Then we had an operations captain, so he handled all the operations. Then we had a patrol lieutenant, and then just a few officers. So take those 3 out, so that leaves 13 for officers handling this stuff. So when I took over, I moved the operations over into the chief of police, so I take care of the operations. The captain now, which is not a captain anymore, we call him a patrol commander, he takes care of patrol. So we took 3 positions and made them into 2. And did that several years back.
So was your question is a officer shift like an 8-hour
So,
shift
no,
or
officers are 12, so
12? Okay.
they work 4 on, 3 off, and then the next week they work 3 on, 4 off, and their change day is Wednesday, so they work every other Wednesday. They like that one because they get the same days off, except for every other Wednesday. So they kind of get a bid by seniority. Okay, am I going to work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or am I going to work Tuesday, Monday, Sunday? So they can, and they get 1 day of the weekend off. So they seem to like that, and that helps keep the coverage. With 8 people, we can keep a minimum of 2 where we're getting to, is when full staff is 3 with the detectives.
I will tell you too, and before I was detective, I was on the street as a patrol sergeant. The chief does a really good job of trying to keep everything, flowing and getting us home on time, respecting our days off. But the time that he's talking about is patrol time. That is in a car doing patrol. The officers will work, they rarely get 3 and 4 days off a week because we have training standards from the state we got to keep up on. We have reports that have to get done. So, we owe the citizens of Lahana reports. We stay and get those reports done. So my 12-hour shift could end up being a 16-hour day if I got stuff I got to get done. Like I said, we try to respect their time off, and we want to respect their time off, but there's a lot of stuff that has to get done. So these guys are out there really working hard.
Any other questions for me?
Here's our organizational chart. Oh,
It didn't say.
It didn't say.
Darn it. We'll bring it and hand it out there
Yeah.
too, so they can see it.
basically it's a breakdown of, the chief being in charge and what he's in charge of, which consists of, less than 7 different groups.
Different groups. Yeah, and I forgot one too, communication center. So I'm in charge of the communication center over the police side of things, how police stuff's dispatched, and then they do a lot of records stuff for us. Chief Davidson is over how they dispatch for the fire department. They don't keep any records for the fire department other than CAD records and things like that. For us, they keep, all our report records. If you need to come and get a report, they're the ones that have to get that for you. They make sure, stuff is submitted where it's supposed to be. A lot of things they do for us as well. So, that's valuable. Yeah. But yeah, it would just show, so the patrol commander, he's over the sergeants who are over the officers. I'm over the whole thing, plus any special things. Detectives answer directly to me. SRO, when we had it, just so you guys know, in case you want to talk about it in public or anything, the school cut the SRO position, not us. So there is no SRO position. It's a very valuable position. Gets officers in there. What we still do though, is guys still go do walkthroughs at the schools when they can. Outrunning traffic in the morning and after school lets out, and then you'll see us at the football games. Going and talk to the people, plus help.
Do you guys get any money for doing any of that stuff, or does that just fall under the category of what
About
police do?
normal duties, yeah. Yeah, when we had the SRO, the school paid half at that time, which was years ago, which was $30,000. Well, now $30,000, it's a third. So I don't know that the schools will bring it back, because I'm gonna ask for half of the total, including benefits, what the officer gets. So we'll see, but school resources, our officers are valuable. I wish the schools could afford having one in every school. They deter active shooters, they can handle, crimes that are handled right there. Plus they can, have lunch with the kids, do trainings for the kids and let them know, hey, we're people too, and we're here to help you. So they're a great thing to have, but unfortunately the school had to cut something, and I guess that's what ended up getting cut.
So this is the mission statement for the Lahana Police Department. You'll notice it's heavy on the partnership between the police department and the citizens, the people we serve. One of the things that I truly and honestly believe is that we cannot do our jobs without you. We're not everywhere at once, and as you can see, we're a little short-staffed sometimes. We're doing what we can with what we got. You are our eyes and ears when we can't see it, when we can't hear it. We rely on you. Sometimes it can be, it can be frustrating for an officer. You may not report everything we need, right? But you're still there reporting it. We want that. We need that for us to do our jobs. So I think the partnership is crucial, which is why it's in our mission statement too. It makes sense. It's just the way that a good police and citizen community should work together. Our core value is committed to community needs, and I believe we truly are.